Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show of Classroom Without Walls. My name is I am the host of this weekly show, and today is episode 133. On this show, I interview leading professionals, entrepreneurs, social media, digital marketers to come here and to share with us their best strategies and practices so that we can future-proof our business. And today we are talking about an amazing solo event planner journey to generating $1 million in business in revenue. I think that deserves congratulations. Really incredible journey. And join me live is the one and only Alicia Schiro. And Alicia and I connected through another person, Elaine Polefield. And Elaine came to my show, and she is the writer of One Person $1 Million Business. So through Elaine, I discovered Alicia, who is equally amazing. And Alicia is the founder and the CEO of Asted Events, and her work has been featured in Forbes, generated 1 million in revenue, and is a solo event planner and has been in this industry for quite a few years. So we have a lot to learn from her. And you are going to walk away from today's interview with a much better understanding of, how you can grow your business into $1 million business. And as an event planner, or if you have an in-person business, and how Alicia has been coping with the global pandemic so that we can keep our business alive and thriving in this global crisis, and so much more. So really excited. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I mean, there's so much to talk about, right? Where to start?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, we are live. We already have quite a few people here, and we are live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. So let me know in the comment section where you guys are joining us live from, social media wise and geographically speaking. And as always, my dear friend Peter is in the comment section. If you guys have any question related to business and related to what we're discussing today, feel free to tag Peter, and thank you so much, my friend. So Alicia, do you want to add something to my very brief introduction?
I think that was a great introduction. Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. So let's dive in. And you didn't really start your career as a solo event planner. So share share that journey with us.
Yeah, so I never set out to be an event planner, but of course now I'm the CEO of Asted Events. And believe it or not, I only actually have a 2-year degree from a community college, and it had absolutely nothing to do with events. But I just always wanted my own business, maybe because my dad had his own business. So my first business was a cafe in New Jersey, which I truly loved. My customers were like the best part of it. And, of course, the coffee. And then, one day I went on vacation and I wanted to go horseback riding. I was having a great time until something spooked the horse. I was thrown off and I broke my back. Wow. So my entire world literally changed in a second. So, I had a choice to make. I could either become very angry at my situation, or I could focus and, try to focus on recovery and, really dig deep, push through the pain. And I, had to learn how to walk again and just kind of like get back to life and change my mindset. So yeah, a little bit of a challenge there. But the good news is after a year, I kind of, I recovered, I was more mobile, but really I couldn't stand for long periods of time. So, I made the heartbreaking decision to sell the cafe, and then just kind of had to figure out what to do next. So I called an old boss of mine who I knew had started a mobile technology company, and he was looking for someone to handle the marketing. But again, I know nothing about marketing. So this is where my event story begins. He believed in me and knew my previous work ethic and was like, if you're interested, I really think you could do this. And I know myself, like if I really want to do something, then I can do it. So I was
love
like,
that.
yeah. So it was like too good of an opportunity to, to pass up. So, so I said yes. And then I started doing trade shows around the world, which was really exciting because I got to travel to places, that I probably would have never gone to. And, we set up the trade shows. And after a couple years of that, I was just kind of like wanted something more. I wanted to do large scale events. And I saw an opening at one of the world's largest advertising companies, J. Walter Thompson. And they were looking for a project manager. And part of that role was to manage their in-house event space. And that was like a 5,000 square foot space. So I basically used that opportunity to create my dream job. I was fortunate at that time to have an amazing boss. She was very supportive, and her and I are still friends to this day.
Wow.
So during that time, I actually was nominated for Corporate Event Planner of the Year, which was, pretty amazing at that time,
Congratulations.
to be
Yeah.
started out in some really cool stuff. Thank you. So we actually got to do some really cool stuff. We one of the events we did in was we brought in baby goats for a TV show. We built like a live forest out of birch trees, and we went to her house and there. And then
Alicia, we are having a hard time. I think the internet is not stable. Let me know, everyone, in the comment section. Is it my end or her end?
Next month, and then I was just in an year and a half. Me. Did we lose each other?
Yeah, I think your Wi-Fi
Hello?
connection. Yeah, can you still hear me?
Is it mine?
I think it's yours.
I can see you. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I think maybe, yeah. I don't know. We lost you for
really?
a second.
Shoot.
It's not very.
Okay, do you want me to kind of backtrack? Are we good?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
How about now?
A little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better. Yeah. So, yeah, you want to follow that story? We actually have this question from Donna and from our live audience.
Okay. And your customers discouraged in this.
I feel like we have like some time delay right now.
You drive the excitement and show them how to engage different. Well,
yeah, this is actually one of my questions. Donna. Yeah. Thank you for joining us live, Donna. And this is actually one of my questions. I think everyone is very anxious to know in this global pandemic, right? How you are dealing with this.
Yeah. So I think, for me, I created the virtual experiences really quickly. So I was able to make that transition really quickly. And I think that got me to a place much faster than the folks that are trying to do that now. And these seem to be working really well. Clients are enjoying them. We're getting great feedback. And so I think it's just making the decision to do something. So for me, that was let's try virtual events. And basically any live event that we've been doing, we've been able to transition to a virtual experience. So it is working, and people are like it, and benefits to it. It's a little bit less expensive than in the past. And you can scale it because you're not stuck in one location anymore. And the volume of guests that you can have is exponential. So you're not limited to guest count either anymore, which is another pod in the virtual world.
Yeah, I want to unpack this a little bit. I also want to go back to your story earlier, but let's unpack this a
Are you
little
there,
bit.
I?
Yeah. Ah. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, would you repeat it?
Yeah,
Oh no, I don't know what is
So
going on with the Wi-Fi. It's been fine
it was
all
so
day.
good earlier before we went live. I saw us we went live. It's just like, yeah, but no worries. So I was asking you, I want to unpack this a little bit.
I know,
because,
it was fine.
yeah, so when the pandemic came, this was such a shocker. So how long did that kind of waking up, accepting this global pandemic, how long did that take you? Or immediately you're like, okay, this is coming, I'm going to do something about this. So was there a buffering period of time before you actually started to, oh my God, this thing is now going to go away. I have to do something. I feel like many people are still in that shocking stage, right? What to do, paralyzed. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Like at first I was frozen, just like everybody else, and not able to, make any decisions. I was kind of caught in the vicious negative news cycle, and getting stuck there. So it took me probably a couple weeks, and I had to find, my zone. And the way that I find my zone is meditation. So I had to really silence the noise in my head to be able to kind of get to a place of clarity. And once I got there, I decided to start making phone calls. So basically, friends in the industry, former clients, colleagues, and just kind of said, hey, you doing? What are you up to? What are you seeing? I discovered that there were some people already doing virtual experiences. There were scavenger hunts, there were trivia games. So after talking to those, I always started as, scour the market, see what was out there. And I just felt like there wasn't enough. So then I decided, you know what? I really just have to create my own experiences. I have celebrity talent that I've worked with. These are things we can create and deliver via Zoom. So I actually started to get pretty fired up about it and excited. So, but it did take a little bit of time to get there. And I think it's really quieting the noise in your head to find your clarity that gets you there.
Yeah, I love this. And Peter is also resonating with this. And I agree. It is interesting that you are also a meditator and use that as a way to kind of quiet your mind. Very interesting. So I don't know how confidential this is. So do you mind sharing with us and how you are doing the online event? What are some like unique features that you are doing, other people are not doing? Because to be quite honest with you and everyone in the live audience, the past several months, I have been go to so many Zoom meetings, so many online events. I think everyone, right now it's August. We all feel a little bit fatigued by this online event. Yeah. So what are you doing differently that makes people still feel like excited and energized? Wow, here's another online event, but it is so different that I'm actually looking forward to it.
Right. I think, the key is knowing your clients, right? So understanding what they need and giving them ideas that add value, because if you're not adding value, then they don't need you, right? So when I talk to a client, I kind of listen to their objectives and goals for the event. And a lot of them have to deliver content first. So either way, people, they have to be on the Zoom. So let's make it fun, right? So it's like they're going there for a purpose to listen to content and do all of that stuff. And then after that is the entertainment portion. And sometimes, it's a celebrity that they're really interested in meeting and asking questions to and talking about leadership and how are they pivoting during this time and what lessons have they learned. So it could be that, or it could be a cooking experience where we're bringing in a chef and we delivered meal kits and everyone's cooking together. So, everybody is on the Zoom, you see their cameras, and at the end, the chef will say, okay, let's everyone show your dishes, maybe they pick a winner and something like that, so it is very interactive, and it is like a family kind of networking situation, which I feel like people are still craving. You want that interaction.
Yeah.
And if you can accomplish two goals, like, you're cooking dinner anyway because you're home. So if you want to get the kids involved to help cook, and you're solving a family, situation, like where you're getting the family involved, plus it's work. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. So I think that also helps. But the most important thing is really understanding your client's business and what their goal is, and then how to make that entertaining.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, those are really great ideas, still make it like interactive, like taking advantage of social media, whatever platforms that we're using. So I want to go back earlier. We kind of interrupted you a little bit there as you were talking about your personal story. You mentioned earlier that you didn't really have a marketing background and get to where you are today. I wonder, last year I read your Forbes story last year, and you made it to the $1 million mark. So I wonder if you could share with us what are some like challenges and roadblocks that you had to overcome to get to this journey, get to where you are today.
Yeah, I think for me, the most important thing I really had to do was find a good team, right? But when you're just starting out, you can't really afford to pay for employees. So, for example, like it took me a year to find a good accountant. So like that's step one that I recommend to anyone who's starting a business. Get yourself a really good accountant. So once I was able to find the right accountant company, I was able to really focus and zone in on my business. And then, fortunately for me, I, had event experience, and I had previous clients before I started my business. So when I launched, I already had a somewhat of a client base. So I was able to use my network and find someone that could help me as an individual contractor, instead of trying to find and pay for an employee, which I couldn't afford. So what I was able to end up doing was asking if they would work on a commission basis. And that ended up really catapulting me to a new level, because not only did they execute the events I gave them, but if they brought in new business, I would pay them more in commission. So it was really a win-win in that scenario.
Yeah.
And that's
so sales. Yeah, well, this is so interesting to hear, because right now I'm also kind of a one-person business, and I do have a few contractors. But I wonder if you can share with us why it is so challenging to find a good team. When you are on LinkedIn, I feel like everyone is looking for a job, right? Like they have this and that, and the students, most of my students couldn't find jobs. So we definitely have lots of applicants out there looking for jobs. And so why do you think it is so hard to find a team, to build a good team?
Right. I think now it's actually probably easier because there are so many more people that are looking for work. When I was doing that, there really wasn't, we weren't in the middle of a pandemic. But now I think, it's really just asking the right questions and networking. The girl that is now working for me as an independent contractor, she's in college, and I actually go to Facebook. I go to Facebook for everything. My personal network is really strong. So I just go to Facebook and I'm like looking for someone, college student available that can work on events, blah, blah, blah. And a friend of mine that I went to high school with is like, hey, my daughter, she doesn't have any experience, but she's a hustler and this and that. And I was like, well, send me her resume. And at first, to be honest, I was a little leery because I don't have the time to train someone. So I wanted someone that already had an event background. But, I looked at her resume, and she has a dog walking business, and she's very successful at her dog walking business. I was like, she's an entrepreneur. She'll pick it up like that.
I love
it. She did. She's amazing. So I would say go to your own network first, all the time. That's what I do.
I love this story, dog walking. I'm going to get this clip and share with my own students, because oftentimes, in the traditional educational system, they are not being encouraged to start a business, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, you feel like you have to, MBA, business school, this and that, and then start a business. I love this story.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to go in that logical order. It really doesn't. And and it doesn't even matter what the business is. It's just that you showed initiative and you're trying something. And like I say, like doing something is always better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Just put something in motion.
I love it. I love it. So apparently, you were talking about ghosts. The Wi-Fi connection was so bad, I didn't even hear that part. I think Peter asked that he wants to know what happened to the ghosts. Did you actually talk about that? I didn't even hear it.
Oh, the ghosts. Yes, I did. I was losing Wi-Fi at the moment, but hopefully it's better now. Yeah, we did. I was able to really do some cool events at J. Walter Thompson. So one of the things we did, we brought in baby goats into the office for a TV show. So that was a lot of fun. They were adorable. So that was the goat story.
Wow, that's so interesting. So where do you gain your ideas, inspiration, doing things so differently?
I just I think I've always been kind of creative. So that helps. And I do a lot of research. So I think that's really the key is do your research and ask a lot of questions. Like don't try to reinvent the wheel. If you're trying to, start a business or, learn more about a business, reach out to people and ask because 9 times out of 10, they're going to be willing to talk to you, especially in our current environment, because more people now are available than ever. In the past, it would be pretty difficult to, get someone on the phone. But now people are available. So my advice is to always do your research, look for people who are already doing what you're doing and ask them. It really saves you from making a lot of mistakes. I mean, that's what I did, and it completely helped me from making a ton of mistakes that I probably would have made if I didn't ask those questions. So I know it saved me a lot of time.
Yeah. Sometimes, you don't even know what you don't know until you ask about those questions. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier you didn't really have a marketing background. So I wonder, clearly your business is very successful. I want you to first share with us, ACED events have been here for 5 years, right? Coming up, 5-year anniversary. So how long did it take for you to have this, $1 million revenue? And so that's kind of the first part of my question. And then I will ask my second part.
Yeah. So it actually took 3 years, which, is pretty good for a service business. So it's ironic because I didn't really even know that I was doing as well as I was doing until my accountant said something. And it's not that I didn't know my revenue. I knew my revenue, but I really had nothing to compare it to. So I didn't know. And I just had my head down and it was like turn and burn. And I was like, okay, I'm paying the bills. This seems to be working out. But I never had any idea, until he kind of said, most people don't achieve this revenue by themselves this quickly. And then, Forbes found me. And I didn't even know there was a such thing as a $1 million one-person business.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they found you. Wow, that's incredible. It just reminds me,
So Elaine, I had actually heard Elaine on a podcast and linked in with her. And so I didn't know that she wrote for, really didn't know what she did. I just kind of heard her on a podcast and she was talking about a book, something I've always thought about doing, but it just seems very overwhelming to me because I don't know where to start. So I was listening to her process and I was like, wow, she just made that sound so easy. So I found her on LinkedIn, I connected, and then I got a note from her and she's like, oh, I was just looking at your LinkedIn, we should talk. And I was like, okay. And that's kind of how it happened.
Wow, what a great story. I love it because, I was trying to say earlier, like so many people, those PR companies, teaching you should do this, you should do that. But I just love your story because you have an incredible
Yeah.
service and product, and all those PR opportunities just organically,
Thank you.
they came to you, right? That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, I think I do like to visualize stuff and think about things and kind of put it out there. And then, I was looking for different ways to market my business. And I had attended an event and Gary Vee was the keynote. So I had asked him a question. And he's like, LinkedIn all the way. Your clients are on LinkedIn. You should be shooting short videos, telling them what you do, posting it on LinkedIn, blah, blah. And I was always like leery of posting videos because I'm like, oh, I need to edit it. It needs to be perfect. It needs to, look great and all of this stuff. And he's like, no, if it's good content, just put it out there. He's like, no one cares. Like, it doesn't matter. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Just do it. Put it out there. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to do the channel. I'm going to do this. And then I slowly started to find the time to do those things.
So are you saying that your marketing effort is mainly organic? Is that how you kind of grow your business?
Yeah, I don't do any real advertising. It's all either LinkedIn or social media. I do all my own posting and tagging and networking. So yeah, I look for stuff like that. I join different groups, before you could go to networking events. So there's a couple, event industry related ones that I typically go to. And now those have all gone virtual. So I try to make an effort to get involved with that sort of stuff, to stay current and just, the event world is constantly changing, like, what's trending, what's interesting. So you really do have to stay on top of things.
Yeah, so interesting that you actually also do your own social media posting. That's incredible. That's incredible. And I want to ask, even on your website, you mentioned that we don't have connections, we have relationships. And you said even in the Forbes interview, you had like 2 paragraphs talking about relationship building. I think for many entrepreneurs or business owners, we all know how important it is for us to build relationships. But I feel like very few people actually master this. And I wonder if you can share some tips with us, how you have been able to building successful and meaningful relationships that you can, tap into to grow your business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's important to grow your business for sure. I think it has to come from a place of being genuine. Like, I genuinely care about my clients and want them to be successful, which then makes me successful if I'm the one delivering the event. And I think it is more of, following up and asking how they're doing. And you're not doing it because you want something in return. You're doing it because it's coming from a place of being genuine and really wanting to help. And one of the things that I do is definitely don't be afraid to ask for referrals. So whenever I have a client that is happy with an event, the first thing I ask them is say, I'm sure there's other people in your organization that do what you do. I would love to talk to them. Would you mind introducing me? They always say yes. They're happy to make introductions. So that really catapulted my business as well. And then not only are they making introductions for me, but after the events, whether it's live or even virtual, on those events, my clients are inviting their clients and their customers, like their partners. So basically, that's 2 other avenues of revenue for me to go down. So at the end of an event, I'll either have someone come up to me and say, you did for them, can you do the same thing for us? So it's really knowing your client's business and what they're doing and who's attending the events. But there's a fine line between that. You don't want to be soliciting new business at your client's event. That I do not recommend. It has to be a very natural, a very natural thing where usually at the end of the event, someone there will come up to me and said, this is great. We want to do the same thing. Do you have a card? And then I will do it. So I think that's really the key there. And definitely asking, that's really what helped me tremendously to get to the level I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really incredible. So one, in terms of relationship building, one thing that I personally struggle with is like maintaining the relationship. So how do you keep all the relationships that you have built over the past, quite a few years? How do you keep those relationships alive? So you don't only like
it's not easy.
Yeah, because you actually need something from this person, but you are actually maintaining the relationship. So how do you do it?
Exactly. It's, again, it's not easy. I genuinely care about the people I work with, and some of my clients I've been clients with for 5 years, and they become my very good friends. One of my clients is such a good friend. I was at her wedding last year. So they really do become friends. And I used to, one of the things that I forgot to mention earlier about the networking is I used to get very upset and like almost panicky when one of my clients would leave an organization. They'd be like, hey, just wanted to let you know I'm leaving here. And I was like, oh no. But the good news is wherever they went, they were like, hey, so let's work together again. So now not only am I still continuing the relationship, but now they're at a totally different company and I got a new client. So it's, staying in touch is very important.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, earlier you shared that example of, you hired the student who has a dog walking business. I feel like this type of relationship management, how to keep the relationship alive is something so important that our students actually need to learn. Very, very important skill. Very important skill. So kind of reflecting on your journey, Alicia, you have been doing this from the startup, working for others, now have your own company. I wonder if you can share with us, what do you think are some key factors that contributed to your success?
Yeah, I think the key is really, and I think I said this earlier, is understanding your client's business and asking a lot of questions. And through that, I'm able to come up with some ideas for them that, they can take to a national level. So now you're not just doing one event, they're rolling it out as a national program, which, you're scaling at such a great height, and that also has helped me get to where I am.
Yeah, those are really great. Oftentimes when I launched my business, it was just an idea in my mind. And I was like, oh, wow, I feel like most students, they need this, and that. But later I made a big mistake. So this year, as I'm launching my program, I actually had conversations with parents who are sending their children to my program. And that has given me so much clarity on the things that I was missing earlier. Even the title, I thought all the parents wanted their children to become an entrepreneur. But quickly I discovered that was only me. Definitely not most parents, how they are thinking about how they want to raise their children. It's like, wow, I missed the entire cake. So so I think that's really, really important.
Right, but that's how you learn. That's how you learn. And it's like, and maybe like what you started doing, like when I started ACED events, it's not what it was now. So it's like when you start to put something in motion, it always evolves, right? So like, you start teaching your class one way, but then several years later, it's a very different, it's a very different class. So things evolve, and like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, change is good. If you're not changing, you're going to get kind of like tossed aside.
Totally, yeah. I love this comment from Phil, and he mentioned that, oh, thank you for joining us live. It's great to meet people at an event, but it is after the event that you are actually building relationships. Yeah. I wonder if you can kind of follow up on this, and what are some like tips for us, to follow up after the event is over, to continue to maintain that relationship, and some tips for us that we can use right now. Everything's happening online. So how can we practice digital networking and digital relationship building? Did I lose everyone?
I see you. How are you
Okay.
doing? Good?
Yeah. Did you hear the question?
Yeah, it's like, I think it's a Are you back?
Yes.
Good? Okay. Yeah, so I think back to the gentleman's question. I think, yeah, networking is tricky. So to follow up after an event, I really pay attention to what people are saying during the event. Maybe they mentioned, their child likes a certain type of, pasta or something. And then I happen to know that. So maybe I follow up with them about, hey, have you ever thought about a cooking experience where we can make pasta? Something like that. Like you can get your kid involved. So there's all different kinds of ways to take the conversation and reasons to follow up where you're not selling. I mean, I think that's the most important thing. Know why you're up. How are we doing?
Yeah, I think it is really, really bad Wi-Fi connection. Yeah. Yeah. So Lisa, I
I
think we
know
just
it's
have some
terrible, and I've never had this happen.
I
Yeah,
think because we are
hopefully we're
dropping so
good.
much audio and yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I love this
Yeah,
it's kind of follow up, right? When you actually do that, people are surprised that you are actually doing that, follow up. And so that's a great point. Yeah, yeah. And so
yeah,
earlier,
definitely.
yeah, so earlier we discussed a little bit, Alicia, of like COVID, and I wonder if you can share some tips with us. People who are running, like for example, restaurants, in-person business. What are some ideas? Clearly, this global pandemic is not going to be away, at least in the United States, right? In the near future. So, like, what are
Right.
some like tips like that you can share with us, kind of moving forward? What do we do? We can't just sit here and cry. Last time I checked, almost 40 million Americans lost their jobs due to the COVID. So what
Wow.
are some
Yeah.
tips that you can share with us?
Yeah. So I think, and again, that truly breaks my heart to see so many talented people suffering. And after listening to so many sad stories that I've been hearing from my friends and colleagues, I wanted to help. So I think it's really important to share ideas. And so for me, I shared what I was doing. So I basically told them the exact experiences that I'm selling to my client and gave them the ideas so that they could sell the same exact thing to their clients. So I think it is really important to share ideas. The restaurant industry is so resilient. I mean, I've seen restaurants in New York build entirely new restaurants outdoors. So for them, they have to maximize their resources. And really, what is that? It's outdoor seating and delivery. They don't have, what else are they going to do? And booze to go, alcohol to go. But it's not going to be enough. I mean, that's the thing. What no one really understands. It's like, okay, yeah, you can open up at 25% capacity. Well, in New York, if you're not at least probably 75% capacity, you're already losing money. And that's on a good day. So that methodology does not work. But for some reason, no one's talking about it except for the people in our industry and people like us. So there has to be some kind of, answer, and soon. Maybe rent reductions, I don't know. But it's, you know, it's a sad situation because there's only so much they can do, and they are doing it. That's what, you know, it's not like they're just sitting back and they're like, well, I don't know. You know, everyone in the restaurant industry is aggressive. You know, they're trying to do their best, and the same in the event industry. People want to work. So I think, you know, it's just finding something that you can do to survive at this point, whatever that might be for you, and just start putting things in motion. I feel like once you start putting stuff in motion, things start to kind of take form, and then you can change it as you go.
Yeah, totally. I love that. You know, I maximize. Yeah, I can, and also maximize the resources that we actually have. So here is, I think everyone is resonating with what you mentioned earlier regarding follow up. Actually, I learned this from my coach that money is actually in the follow up. So here from Dot, you know, talking about, you know, how few people actually follow up. So what I learned is that I actually started using Asana. So, or whatever, you can use Trello or Google Doc, whatever you use. So after a good conversation, I will actually make a note for myself. I will put it in my calendar, follow up in 10 days or so. And like, because I don't remember, has definitely helped me a lot to be better at following up, especially when you run as a one-person business. You know? Yeah.
I mean, like, one of the things I do too is I actually go through all my emails for people I haven't maybe spoke to in a couple months, and follow it that way. So if you just like go in your sent emails and you just scroll, like start from the bottom, work your way up. Like, I'll take 2 days, you know, a month to do that, just to check in with people. And again, it has to come from a place of you're curious. You really want to know how they're doing. You're not doing the hard sell. You're not asking for anything in a follow-up. You know, it's basically just a check-in. Like, hey, how are things going? Do you need any help with anything? Love to work with you. You know, very simple. And I can't tell you how much business I got just from doing that. Like, you know, you're not going in with, you know, when are we going to work together again? Or like something like that. It's not that conversation. It's a genuine, how are you? Do you need anything? You know, you'd be surprised how many people don't actually ask that question. Can I do anything for you? Not, you know, not the other way around. Like, can I do anything for you? Yeah,
it's so amazing. I love how you mentioned, you know, you actually gained lots of businesses from simple how are you out of your heart. It is not that hard, right? Sometimes I think as human beings or as marketers, we tend to make things very complicated, right? I have to do this and that. But sometimes it's so simple, like, how are you? You know, like,
you don't have to overthink it, you know, it's just very simple. Like, I had a client, she, you know, she loves her dog, and the dog passed away, and it was very upsetting. So there's a company on the internet that makes socks, and you take a photo and they put the photo on the sock. So I took the photo of her dog and put it on the socks and sent it to her. I didn't even tell her I was doing it. Like, I just did it. I actually forgot all about it. She called like in tears that she was so excited to get the socks. And it was like, you know, and these are things that are very like just simple, like not expensive. It's just the sentiment, you know, and I think that says a lot when you do that for your client or a friend or whatever.
Oh, I love that. I think there's some great ideas. It reminds me of a podcast that I listened to last year. So there are actually other people, their entire business is based on gifting. So let's say that you have a client and you want to get this person, or not your client yet, but you want to get their attention. So this company will actually study, okay, the CEO of the wife, or they just had a baby. So they will actually coach you to gift them, like, you know, plastic utensils, so they don't have to worry about our diapers, this and that. I was like, wow. And in that podcast interview, they shared so many success stories because of kind, meaningful gifts like that. You know, the socks you mentioned, they gained like millions of dollars like businesses. I was like, wow, what a great idea, you know. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So by the way,
it's just the little things.
Yeah, Peter has been sharing, you know, links to the Forbes article.
Thank you, Peter.
Alicia has been mentioned. So definitely check out the link in the comment section. And so earlier, before we went live, I think you made another great point, Alicia, that you are actually investing in time to share more content. You're thinking about launching your podcast to educate others. So share with us what inspired you to do that, and maybe other people can learn from you, and then using the time smartly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good, to help others, I had help along the way. So I think when you get to a certain point where you have enough experience to offer, some things that can help other people, save them time from making mistakes. I think it's great to do that. So I love talking to people. You learn so much more from talking to people. So the idea of the YouTube channel is it's called Expert Event Management. So we basically bring in the experts and we talk about the industry, things we want to see change, things that are working. And then, sustainability was a big topic. So I have an episode on sustainability, and then COVID happened. So everything kind of tilted, to talk about what are we going to do now? How are people pivoting to survive, and those sort of things. And I think they're really good conversations for anyone in business. It doesn't even have to just be event related. But these are people who have been doing it for quite some time. So they have the experience. So, you don't have to make the same mistakes. You can learn from somebody else that will save you a ton of time. So that's kind of the premise of the channel. And then, for a fun element, I like to bring in a celebrity. So we'll have like celebrity guest drop-ins. So I won't tell you who those are. You'll have to watch to see. But it's always good to, provide a little entertainment. So that's what we do. So then we provide a little entertainment for folks.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I can see finally the Wi-Fi connection is better. I can actually see your face.
I know. Now that we're done, right?
Yeah, I couldn't even see your face before. It's like blurry. I was like, okay. So yeah, we're just wrapping up here. So here's a question from Dan. So he asked, the pandemic is really unfortunate. So do you think for the service industry, the retail industry, they will actually be restarting by going small, small scale, smaller events, smaller gathering, things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just recently did an interview with EMRG Media. They are a company in the event industry, and they host an annual, actually 2 annual events. And I spoke with them yesterday, and they had on a company that's based in Canada. So Canada is a little bit ahead of us here. So they've already started to reopen. So what they're doing is exactly that. They're starting at smaller capacities. So if you have a wedding, maybe it's 100 people, maybe it's 50 people, whatever that is, but everybody is following safety protocols. So maybe they have a nurse on site, they have sanitation stations, they check your temperature when you enter the event. I mean, look, there's things we could do to protect ourselves, and it's just time to start doing them. It's like you can't expect venues to be closed, till next year, because they won't exist. So it's kind of a ridiculous ask. I'm not saying, no one wants to get sick, right? But we have enough information now to put things in place to protect ourselves. Everybody can wear a mask. They can wear a shield. They can socially distance. We can have sanitation stations, temperature checks, all of these things. And they are doing it, in Canada. And right now seems to be going okay. So I think that's going to be the future. I think it'll be a slow opening.
Yeah, I love that. Like actually just like from the consumer perspective, I think everyone's going crazy. Like my husband, I'm like, oh my God, this is the most boring summer that we have ever had within the last 10 years during our marriage. Like, oh, what can we do? So I think, I love, so we're in Philadelphia, some of the children's museum, like science museum, you measure temperature, you book all ahead of time. They want to make sure you don't have that many people. So I think those are, especially I love the temperature, everyone there is really safe.
I mean, we know what to do now, and I think it needs to be done. I think we need to start, trying and see, do the right thing. I think everybody wants to do the right thing. Everybody's following kind of social protocol,
Yeah, totally. And I love this. And I'm really familiar with the education industry. I know that many parents are homeschooling, so they have like a small micro school and a
Wow.
small group of children. Hey, they're starting their own school. And I love seeing like grassroots movements like that. Yeah.
I mean, even if things have to happen on a smaller scale, I mean, that's okay. They just need to happen, like people need to adapt their businesses. And if that's on a smaller scale, that's okay. At least they will still have a business. So, what's the worst, what's worse is not having anything, so that's not an option.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I love Lisa road trip. Yeah, let me know where you guys are going. Yeah.
I'd love to go on a road trip.
That's great. And also I love how you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned this earlier or in our email exchange that, holiday, I wonder if you could share with us, if it is not really confidential, that what are some exciting things, projects that you are working on, right? Hard to believe, like August is here.
I know.
And
we're in the last quarter.
Yeah, holidays like coming up. So anything, in the event industry, or what are you cooking up?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing right now. So that's kind of where my head's at, is what will we do for the holiday season? In the event industry, this is where most people make their money. So we have to have a holiday season. Like, it has to happen at some level, some way. So whether it's smaller in-person events or virtual events, whatever that is, I'm starting to curate virtual packages. I'm partnering with several different companies that can execute kind of like a navigation tool. So basically you can enter the event. There's several different rooms. You can go into different rooms. Each room is a different experience. So that's kind of what we're working on now. Like maybe you want to build a gingerbread house, or maybe you want to just listen to a band, or maybe you want to do mixology or wine tasting. So these are all the things we're kind of putting into one holiday house, so you would go in and you'd have all these different rooms to experience, various entertainment. So I'm hoping that that is what is going to happen. I think folks, really look forward to holiday parties. You work all year long, so you're kind of hoping your company is going to do something, So whatever that looks like, I think it kind of needs to happen, especially this year,
Oh, I love this idea. Now I'm actually excited. I things that I couldn't do before. Now I can mingle with people from different states, from different countries, and maybe even international cuisines. And how are you guys celebrating holiday? Really exciting. Yeah, it reminds me of this event I recently spoke at. So each person's speaker will actually have an avatar. So I can design or dress, different color. And so they have different rooms. One is like, coffee. You have like virtual coffee. There's an auditorium, and there's like a theater, like the beach, all those things. It was actually quite fun. You can go to different
Very cool.
Yeah, I love how how limitations make you more innovative. I love seeing all those like innovative ideas. Really exciting. Yeah. So where can I learn more about this? This virtual package sounds so exciting.
Yeah, call Asted Events. Shoot me an email, call me up, and I'll tell you all about it. Yeah. Thank you for flashing that at the bottom there. That's awesome.
Yeah, here, yeah. So I want to share this comment from Lori, and thanks for joining us. So great to see you, my friend. And a wine store here does wine tastings from home, and you get the connection, you get the information, and you get social. Yeah, so
very cool. Yeah, I mean, again, like to Lori's point, you have to get creative. Like as a wine store, you have to figure out something, right? So she figured it out, and it's just. You just have to try something. Like no one knows if it's going to work. We didn't know virtual events were going to work, and they're working. So you just don't know until you know. So I think you have to do something. And I think, you know, out of a crisis sometimes comes the most productive technology. You know, most people didn't even know what Zoom was 6 months ago. Now that company is, you know, is soaring. But again, it's, you know, it's just the creativity that comes out of, you know, a crisis and technology. And that's exciting for me. Technology always scared me a little bit. But, you know, once you embrace it and, you know, it can work in your favor, it's exciting.
Yeah, totally. Actually, I did this training on creativity. I did a workshop. One way for people to be more creative is actually give them limitation. So this is exactly what we are going through right now. Yeah. So we are going to wrap this up. Finally, the Wi-Fi is so good.
I know. I'm so sorry.
I can hear you. I can see you.
I know. It's finally working and the show is over.
So here's another question from Dan, and he's asking, what are the responses to the virtual events? And I assume price points have to, like, you know, shift. And so do you know, have you ever heard any responses for some of the
Dan is right. So the good news is with virtual events, the pricing has come down. So I am doing more. So I'm doing several more. And the fact that I don't have to travel, the talent doesn't have to travel. So I'm doing several more a day. So the volume is increased dramatically. So yeah, that is a very valid, true point.
Oh, yeah, totally. And yeah, and also, like, I'm speaking at Inbound this year. So Inbound used to be in person. It's a very expensive conference. I think 2,000 or something like that. But this year they made it online. A big part of it is actually free. But now they have this incredible global audience, and they also added lots of creative features. So really nice to see that, you know, have that global.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's unlimited now, you know, because we have so much, you know, you're unlimited to what you can do, which is exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love seeing some of those like Zoom break. You know, you do a dance break, you do some stretch. It's actually fun. Yeah. Great. What a great interview, right?
I know. Thank you. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So I have been sharing your social media links, but do mention again, where can people learn more about you and get a hold of you? I'm really interested in learning more about this virtual event, like maybe even virtual traveling to a different country, vacationing. So yeah, so share with us where we can learn more.
Yeah, they can definitely email me at aceditevents.com. So it's Alicia at aceditevents.com. And you can also message me through LinkedIn. So you can find me both of those locations. And yeah, the YouTube channel will launch hopefully this week. If not, definitely next week. And you can find me there. But yeah, so that's where we'll be.
So what's the name of the YouTube channel again?
Expert Event Management.
Yeah, and Peter got your
perfect. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah. Awesome. Great, everyone. And Alicia, thank you so much. And by the way, speaking of vacationing, road trip, and I don't have this interview next Wednesday. We're actually taking a family vacation. And so I'll be seeing you guys in 2 weeks at same time, same location. And make sure you guys follow Alicia. And thank you so much for joining us live on Wednesday or Thursday for some of you. And so great to see you again. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. And
have a great trip.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys.